Hey everyone, I'm Kevin with Victory 4x4. Today in the garage we're going to be installing a set of our ditch light mounting brackets on this 2024 Toyota Tacoma. So obviously, first things first, you got to pop the hood, and then you need to decipher which bracket is left from right. So the way I'm holding them here, I have the driver and passenger side bracket. So we'll kind of keep going here with our passenger side, since we're here on the passenger side of the truck. So a couple quick things I can point out about this while we have it off of the truck here still is the small mounting holes, if you will, along this side here. So you have a nice location to tie up your light wiring and kind of run it back down in under the hood, as well as the large slotted mounting hole up top here for your light and or accessory there. So the other really cool thing about these is there's no hardware, since you're just bolting to the bottom side of the hood and its mounting bracket using factory hood hardware. So you just need a 12mm socket and your bracket to get them installed. Now what I really like about these in the way they're designed is you never have to completely unbolt the hood from its mount to get the bracket installed. So you can first take that 12mm and just remove the forwardmost or upper mounting bolt here, if you will. And then you will need to take the bracket and now kind of slip it in from the back side of the hood here like so. And then you can carefully feed that up in a way that you can use the forward mounting slot to get that first bolt lined up and started back into its factory hole location. And if we do this right, we really should never move the hood on its mount drastically, so there shouldn't be any hood misalignment issues to deal with or anything here once it's fully installed. So we'll tighten that pretty much all the way up by hand. Now with that first bolt hand tight, I did have to switch to a taller socket to get to the back bolt in here, but I'll now take my free hand and kind of support the back edge of the hood just in case that moves at all so it can't drop and damage any paint. And then we can loosen up this back bolt and temporarily remove it. From there, you'll pivot your bracket over, lining up the slot with that threaded hole in the hood, and then restart the factory bolt here. And then switching the ratchet around, we can now tighten both of these up. So that's really all there is to getting the bracket itself installed. We do now want to come back and just kind of check our clearances, and again that hood gap, just to make sure nothing moved there. So as we close it down, we'll be looking to kind of see how the mount itself in here interacts with the air dam under here, which this is pretty flexible, as you can maybe kind of see there, so that shouldn't be an issue. And then we do just want to check the bracket on the outside and the clearance between it and the hood. So I'll close this real quick and we can look at those things. So with the hood closed up, we looked at our gap along here and everything looks good. It doesn't look like the hood has moved at all. So that's great. Then as far as gaps between the bracket and the hood, you want to kind of look down in here, basically at the back edge of the hood, just to make sure that those two aren't making any physical contact, so that if this wiggles or moves at all over time while you're going down the road or down the trail, it's not rubbing on the paint and causing any damage there. So you should have adequate space behind there, and you can then get your light bolted into place. So we know that the lights you're going to use are going to vary drastically depending on your preferences and needs. So right now I just have a cheap set here off of Amazon, and that's fine for what we're doing here to show you the install. One thing we actually found when installing them is a good thing to point out. These came with pretty long mounting hardware, so you'll want to carefully install this the first time and check the distance between that hardware in the hood. And if I slide this all the way into the inside, it looks like this bolt is actually too long and it's going to need to be swapped out. So if that is something you run into, that is a bolt that you'll need to source separately, but that's dependent upon your light manufacturer's mounting brackets and hardware. So just to give you some reference in case you do need to switch hardware on your lights, the bolt we went with is a 5/16 by 3/4 long. Again, the diameter of your bolt may have to change depending on your light manufacturer. But the 3/4 long fits well under here and clears all the way across. So we'll get our washer and nut on the bottom in here. And then I'll grab a couple wrenches, in my case here, 1/2 inch, and tighten this up, just using caution not to contact the paint down here. If you want to be extra cautious, go ahead and put some painter's tape down here just to protect that short term while you're installing this light and this hardware. Now just before you get that fully tightened up, you obviously will want to adjust it side to side, as well as kind of pivot it in or out as needed. You may have to adjust some of that after the fact once you have things wired in as well. We like this the way it's set here, kind of flush with the outside, because that does still leave just a little bit of room on the inside where we could potentially install a radio antenna in there. And kind of with this bolted in place like this, we'll go install the driver's side mount in the same fashion and tie up our wiring with just a couple of zip ties along those provided holes we mentioned earlier. So with our light tightened up and our wiring kind of just zip tied up to clean the look up there and running under the hood, the only thing left to do would be to wire these in. Now to do that, we know that some of you are going to be tying into factory auxiliary switches. Some of you may choose a different route and go with a secondary switch controller. So that's going to kind of be up to you guys to figure out what you're using, how many accessories you're installing on your truck, and what suits your build best. Other than that, if you haven't done so already, again, go complete the installation on the other side, and this installation will be complete. As always, if you guys have any questions at all about anything we offer here at Victory 4x4, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. You can always send us an email at info@victory4x4.com or call us at 269-459-8447.